here. It's a pleasure. Thank you everyone for still being awake. I know this has been a long day for some of you. So we're very delighted to share some of this message. And really the essence, it's not just about leaders, it's about essentially how can all of us be leaders? How can we all take a role in shaping and creating the future organizations, the future teams, the ways of being, the ways of working that we want? Yeah, so now can you flip over? So the title of this session is actually how to create business agility with executives and managers, right? It says with, it's not about them taking all the burden of all the responsibility, but it's about how do we go on a journey together with them to create extraordinary organizations. So I'm Michael K. Sahota, I'm a certified enterprise coach and a Cal educator. We've trained about 2,000 leaders worldwide with some very different ways of approaching Agile that lead to greater levels of success. And really the core of what we do at our organization is that we upgrade the evolutionary capabilities of people and organizations. If you think about Agile, that's what it's really about. It's about increasing people's ability to adapt, not just once, but on an ongoing basis. And our vision is to help people realize the extraordinary. And through a shift of not just mindset and practices, this is what we need to enable new ways of working, right? So it's not just doing Agile or digital or customer journeys. It's something deeper that we need. We need integrated shift in how we're functioning, how we're approaching our organizational system, how we're approaching work every day. So I'm going to give you some very practical takeaways called the Agile Keys. I'll tell you how to download this later. We're going to give some very practical guidance of how to approach Agile in your organization. All right, so the first thing I want you to start with is to think about this. Where is the focus of your transformation, Agile at your company? Is it about teams or is it about managers? Just take a moment to think about it. Is it about people on teams doing things differently, or is it about managers learning how to show up differently to create a different outcome? All right, so let's go into this. The Agile industry today, we can see it's still like a green field. There are lots of jobs, lots of opportunities, right? There's an incredible amount of stuff going on. However, I'm going to give you my professional opinion, having seen organizations all over the world. Here we go. This is actually what's happening. Agile failure is normal. When we talk about an Agile transformation, we're talking about a transformational result, a profound shift from the way we're working out to something very, very different. Right? That's why I say there's a 90% failure rate, because we rarely achieve the shift that we're hoping for. Businesses say, well, we've got some little benefit, but we haven't got the shift, the dynamic, the ability to adapt that we're hoping for. Now, the question is, well, where is leadership in all of this? And our sense is that leadership has been left behind, right? And we're talking about, well, what does it mean when we involve them? All right, so here we go. Now, why is this going on? Well, if you're normal, you're doing something like SAFE, the Scaled Agile Framework, or some sort of, rollout program to make a rapid change in your whole organization, right? Or you might be doing the Spotify model, right? And putting teams and squads in place and guilds and chapters and all sorts of restructuring work. But all of these things are focused on the people, on the teams. They're not focused on helping managers and executives learn and understand a new way of working and a new way of being. All right, so let's go in to look at the research. Here's version 1 survey. And I'm just going to call out one thing that's very important: lack of management support. Basically, most Agile initiatives are failing because managers are going like, what? We don't get it. We don't know what we are supposed to do. Right? It's not that they're bad. It's not that they're resistors. There's something going wrong in engaging them and helping them give the support they need to function in this new way of Agile working, right? So that's what we're focused on here. Now, Ken Schwaber said this, very profound statement: Scrum is designed to disrupt the hierarchy. If you look at the Spotify model, you get SAFE, it's designed to disrupt the hierarchy. It's like a different power structure with autonomous teams. When you tell managers we now have autonomous teams, they're going, well, if the teams are autonomous, what's my role now? What am I supposed to do? Right? So there's something going wrong in the name of Agile. Right? So what does autonomous self-organizing teams really mean for the organization? If we truly have teams that are autonomous, that are deciding locally what they're supposed to do, what's everyone else in the organization supposed to be doing, right? And this is where there's this conflict between the promise of Scrum and the reality of the organization. So this is a serious problem. Unless there's a fundamental, principled way of understanding how to approach the problem, we're going to be stuck. So we're going to give you that approach. Now, if you think about autonomous teams, we're really talking about taking your hierarchy and getting rid of it, creating a network. And this is a trap. I know it's recommended. It's not a good starting place. Maybe at some advanced stage in the future, you might end up with a network. Wonderful, but that's not a great starting place for your organization. What about this? To create a teal organization or high performance, we say we need to have self-managing teams, no hierarchy, radical transparency. We need to make all these sweeping changes, big transformation. Well, this also is a trap. We're inviting you not to fall into this trap. People have tried doing this. It's very difficult to get any of these big changes successful. So then what do? Well, let's start with the basics. If you think about your organization, you've got a traditional management pyramid. Now, a much more basic step is to do this. It's to do what Handelsbanken did, and many other companies have done, is to turn the pyramid upside down, right? Where people on the front lines, the employees, are making many more decisions, and people, which are normally at the top of the hierarchy, are supporting them in making those decisions, helping them learn how to evolve and so on. Now, the question I have for you is, are staff at your organization ready to lead right now? Are they ready to start taking responsibility for leading the organization forward? And are managers ready? Are managers and executives ready and know what they need to do to help support the people effectively, right? How to help them function? If you are in most organizations, the answer is not really, maybe partly, right? So we're giving you a fundamental rethink of Agile so you can be successful. So here's the fundamental rethink. Here's the pyramid. Here's the hierarchy. Well, keep it. This is actually good. The hierarchy gives people psychological safety. Now, instead of getting rid of the hierarchy, what do? Well, actually, let me mention this. The largest cases of high performance organizations actually have hierarchies. There's no evidence that you actually need to get rid of your hierarchy to create high performance. Instead, what you need is have a different way of working and a different way of being. So the secret here is to evolve the people. When we evolve the people in our organization, that allows us to make the changes to the hierarchy in ways that fit our organization and make sense for us. So I'm going to walk you through essentially what this looks like. When we evolve the people and shift the mindset, that shifts the engagements and the outcomes. Now, if we look at this journey of different culture systems, we started with power and control. We've moved on to modern management, all about bigger, better, moved on towards people-centric ways of working, where it's all about vision and purpose, towards these teal organizations where there's a decentralized network, there's self-management, there's emergence. Now, this is extended. Now we're going to extend this model for reinventing organizations, and there's this dividing line from the left side, which is business as usual, and the right side, which is what we need for our organizations to embrace complexity, which is what's required to create business agility, if you want to put a name on it, right? So the whole work of creating a shift from business as usual to business agility is about evolving the people, shifting the mindset. And our model is no one gets left behind, that we want to include everyone in this journey, including execs and managers, because we can't do it with just teams. It simply will not work. So just remember, where's the focus of your transformation? Is it teams or managers? Just notice again, remind yourself. All right, so here's the advice. Here's the first key we're going to give you. Is actually number 6, is don't start your transformation with teams, start with the managers. So if you already start with teams, no problem. It's just a matter of shifting the focus. Say, well, how do we engage the managers? How do we give them the shift that they need? Right? And now, why is this so important? Well, if you think about your organization today, it has certain operating characteristics, a certain way of functioning. That's a reflection of all the behaviors of all the people. Now, if we want to have a different organization with, let's say, business agility, or an evolved culture. We need people operating differently. So we can see that personal organizational evolution is a result of personal evolution. When people evolve, they grow themselves, they have new behaviors, they show up differently, they have a different mindset, then you can get a different organizational outcome. So when we look at the research, this is from Deloitte, is that this is what we see for leaders. We need to upgrade the ability to lead through complexity and ambiguity, the ability to lead through influence. That's what's needed to operate and be ready for the future. So this is the agile leadership gap, is that we train teams, we coach them, we do a wonderful job with people who do a great job with us all around the world. The gap that we've seen is with leadership, giving them mindset, training, and coaching, which is very different from the usual kinds of things. And it's not the same thing that teams get. It's a different way because they need to operate at a more evolved level. So what is this mindset? Not just doing agile, this is key number 5, but including the agile mindset. What is that really? So let's be very concrete. What is the mindset shift that leaders need? What is the mindset shift that we need to be successful, right? So it's not just about leaders, it's about all of us. And so we'll go back to the core of Agile, and we're going to explain the Agile mindset using the Agile Manifesto. So if we extract this and we look at the most important bits, this is freezing. It's about uncovering better ways, right? That's uncovering better ways is pointing to what we can call a culture of learning. So when all of us are learning not just new information, but about ourselves as people, that is the shift that we need to say, yes, I'm living the Agile mindset. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm shifting my behaviors. The next part, and I'll just pull this out here, is respond to change over following a plan. What that's speaking to is about the ability to lead through complexity and ambiguity, right? It's kind of like the solutions for Agile are in Agile itself. The final one I point out, which Alex Kravisky put me onto, which is that this is, he says the most important line, it's about individuals and interactions over process and tools, which when we look at this is about the ability to lead through influence, right? That's what it means for leaders to have the Agile mindset, these 3 characteristics. And so when we focus on helping leaders, and not just leaders, everyone in the organization have these characteristics, we're going to have an Agile organization, business agility emerge over time. So Agile equals people over process. That's kind of the simplest definition. Requires shifting mindset. All right. Rumi said this, yesterday I was clever, so I want to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself. So when we have come to this understanding, we realize that the mindset starts with all of us, not about changing everyone else, not about changing teams, and the structures, the processes, but looking at, are we really living from this Agile mindset? Are we really operating in an Agile way of being? So we say a new way of being enables a new way of working. That shifting mindset is the key to unlocking success with Agile and high performance. So when we look at this diagram, as we shift people's mindset, as people evolve and grow, the engagement, the outcomes increase. And that's how you, no matter where you're starting, can start evolving from business as usual to embrace complexity and create a business agility or greater levels of performance in your organizational system. So it's not really about these culture models. It's more about understanding that personal evolution leads to organizational evolution, and it starts with all of us. All right, that's the shift. All right, so I'm just going to close off now by just going through briefly the Agile keys to give you a sense of what does it mean like when we actually live the Agile mindset? What does it mean? How do we approach this whole business of organizational change? Well, the first starting place is we understand that Agile is not the goal, right? When we think about Agile, Agile is there to help people be awesome, help people be successful. So it's not about doing Agile, even being Agile necessarily. It's about understanding what the organization wants and helping that organizational system be successful. So we can say Agile is a means, not the end. The next one, which is very interesting, most of you have been through an Agile transformation, you probably had a rollout plan, right? Rollout means that there's one solution that fits everywhere in an organization. Plan means that we know upfront exactly what's going to happen, even though we're dealing with a vastly complex system, right? So it doesn't even make any sense. Instead, when we understand it's about adapting to change, we want to focus on creating an evolution program where we say, hey, there's lots we don't understand now. There's lots we want to learn and discover. Let's figure this out as we go. Of course, we all have goals, we'll have directions, but we're going to have this understanding that things will change and evolve as we go, right? So that's a clue that we're actually operating. These keys are how to operate using the Agile mindset and to know when you're not. The next one is this: don't mandate Agile. Like what we see over here on the left, where people are being forced to do Agile, being told to do Agile. We're trying to drive Agile to the organization. What we do is we end up just building a lot of resistance, because it turns out everybody wants to change just at their own pace, right? So when we understand that different parts of the organization may grow at different rates, then we can move to the key, which is to iterate where the interest is. It's not that complex. It's just looking at your organizational system and say, who's ready to start making a change now? Great, help those people. If other people want to make a change but at a slower pace, great, help those people. Some teams may not be ready for it yet. Some managers may not be ready. It's okay. When we start focusing on going where the energy is, we unlock our success. Because remember, Agile is about people. Why would we want to make people do anything? It doesn't make any sense. It's actually a violation of Agile itself. The next one is this, is to avoid big organizational transformations, right? When we have big changes, people have fear, they have uncertainty, they don't know what's going to happen. So it automatically starts to impair whatever the change is. So no matter how good the change is, it's almost always better to do things in little baby steps. Improve daily work is the key here, which is all about how can you make the changes, because no one resists change. People resist being changed. So when you talk to people about saying, how can we improve what's happening right now to make your life better, people tend to be pretty happy about it because they want their lives to be better. So when we focus on making small, localized improvements, iterating where the interest is, then people can really resonate and dig into what's most important for them. We already talked about key number 5, about shifting not just from doing Agile, the processes, the practices. Of course we need processes. Of course we need practice. We need to talk about what will work in our organization. But we understand that Agile is about people over process. It's much more important about the people, the mindset. Are we really building a culture of learning? Is there psychological safety for people to learn, to run experiments? So that's where we want to focus our energy and attention, is to develop the people, especially the mindset. So the last key, the second last key is don't start with teams, start with managers. Is the premise of the whole talk, is that we've been fundamentally placing attention in the wrong places. Because when managers, the most important, the most valuable people in the organization, that's why they've been hired in those roles. When we help them shift, then they can help everyone else in the organization shift. It's actually a huge recipe for success. And the last one I'll share with you, the last key, is looking beyond the tactics, looking beyond the strategy, and starting to key in on that culture and people are the secret sauce of creating a high-performance organization, right? And many times people have, oh, this is our strategic plan. It's baked into the business as usual metaphor and environment that we want to focus on tactical strategy. So there's a shift required to the people side of the equation. And Agile is about people after all, so it's very natural. But it's not what usually happens in our change programs. So these are the 7 Agile keys. We hope that's helpful for you to understand what may be a trap and what may be a more successful way of approaching change in your organization. You can download our website, shift314.com, so you can just go to the bottom. It's a free download. You don't need to register or anything.